Hello everybody, this is Kyrix with another edition of This Week in Kyrix. Today is Wednesday, December 7th of 2016. And it's been a little bit of an eventful week for me. Got paid, did various things, got Christmas presents for the critters. Because that's the thing I do. I'm one of those people. Yes, my pets get presents, you can deal with that. Can I not? Can I not have that? Well, that just suck a bag of dicks right there. Apparently it does. Oh god, where do I even start with this week? Nothing overly bad. There was a bad thing, but not, like, critically bad. More like, wow, that was a thing. But, there's so much has happened. I, of course, have been marathoning the shit out of Pokemon Sun. I owe a huge apology to my Harvest Moon viewers for that exact reason. And they will get that when I finally record Harvest Moon, hopefully later today. I would do it now, but kind of sleepy. Should do it now. Probably not gonna. Ah, there we go. Anywho, let's see, what did I do? Fuck. What day was it? Wasn't Sunday. Actually, I think I already covered going over to my friend's house for Minecraft, so we're gonna skip that. Although now I have a whole new Minecraft scheme for Minecraft that's Minecraftable in a Minecrafty way. No, all seriousness. Sunday. Well, no, let's get into the Christmas presents first. Got some kind of treat, I'm not gonna say what, because my pets are listening. I know they can't English, but they're listening. Let me have my illusions, please. Anyway, got some toys for the kitty cats, because at least one of them really needs some toys. I think we all know which one. Treats for the dog. And as I was pedaling home, there's a Circle K between Walmart and my house. Just a thing, no big deal. This is unimportant. Anyway. And right across the street from the Circle K, on the same side of the road, but at a four-way intersection, you know, there is a thrift store. And a lot of times they have shit piled out front. You know, just like, hey, here's some of the things for sale at our store. And when night falls, they bring it all back in. No big deal. Just thrift store shit, you know? Nothing major. And I had to stop because stoplights and such. And I stopped on the thrift store side, basically in the yard of it. And I'm glancing over, I'm like, oh, that's a dog crate. For those who don't know, a dog crate is a cage for your dogs. And people who do not have dogs hear dog cage and think, oh, that's so cruel. No, dog cages are very important, and I'll get into why in a minute. But there was a dog cage, the perfect size for a Chihuahua. Now, longtime viewers may realize, hey, doesn't Kyrix have one of those? Why, yes, I do. So I'm thinking, you know, that cage would be pretty cool, but it'd be kind of a bitch to try and get that home on a bike. I mean, it's like 5-10 minutes from my house on the bike, but this is a cage the size of my torso. You know, it's not a small cage. I mean, it's a small cage in dog terms, considering there are cages big enough to fit an adult in. Not comfortably, but you could. And this is one that a child could fit in. Uncomfortably, but totally could. So I get home, drop my stuff off, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know, I could get that cage. How much could it be, you know? So I put a number in my head. I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I'll go back and look up that cage. If it's $10, you know, $10 seemed reasonable. If it's $10, I'll get that cage. So I pedal my ass down there. And keep in mind also, I'm hyper, so sometimes I will do shit just for the excuse of getting out to exercise. There is in fact every chance that shortly after this I will hop on my bike and go for a ride. because I'm hyper. Sometimes that's just the thing I do. So I get up to the thrift store and I go in and I'm like, hello, hello, hello. I walk all the way out to the back where they got two guys just sorting shit in the back. And when I say back, I don't mean the back room, I mean the fucking street. You know, out the back door where they deliver supplies. And they're like, oh shit, sorry, didn't know you were there. So I bring a guy out to the front. Hi, Haley. This will watch. Oh, I know what she needs. It's her bracelet. I shall find your bracelet for you, Haley. Poor Haley. She's sad. Anyway, oh, I'm in slow mode. So, I get up there and I'm talking to him and, I see it. How the hell did it get over here? Fucking seagull stealing? Which is not unreasonable that a seagull would take it. Seagulls are ornery little things. But anyway, I get up there, it's like, oh, that's 16 bucks. So I go to Circle K, because 16's still reasonable. Go to Circle K, buy a bag of popcorn, get some cash back, bring it back. Well, 15 bucks is what he said. It was 16 after tax. And I wrestle this thing home on the bike. You know? And wrestle really is the appropriate term. Because I've got this thing in a fucking hold. I went about maybe a quarter of the way there, just holding it in my hands, like in my left hand, trying to grip it and hoping, knowing that this wouldn't happen, but hoping the metal wouldn't bend and warp. Which there was no chance of that because I wasn't squeezing it hard enough to warp it. And it's not heavy enough to warp under its own weight. Matter of fact, if I had taken the time to open it up and get it, because it had all the parts to it, I could have attached the handles that are there for that very reason. But that's neither here nor there. Brought it home, got it all prettied up, like I had to mess with the tray and whatnot. And put the dog in it. She likes it. She actually sleeps in it at night. She might very well be in it right now, as a matter of fact. Give me the wood. That's not wood, but I'll take it anyway. Actually, So, why crate a dog? There are actually very many reasons, especially if you've got a puppy. And remember, I worked at an animal shelter. This is why I know this shit. At the SPCA, now granted, I worked in the cat room, which didn't have to worry about crating. But this was on, like, day one of volunteer orientation, you know? So, this was kind of a thing. They just told the story to everyone, like, yeah, we have, they had, in the Largo SPCA, a picture next to 2 dog crates, where this couple had come in and adopted this adorable little puppy, and the SPCA tried to tell him, okay, now, we want you to get a crate for him. Like, crate? We're not going to crate our dog. That's mean. That's cruel. You don't cage an animal. He's a pet. He's a family member. And they kept trying to tell him, look, no, don't do this. Get a crate. It's for your own good. Get a crate for your dog. And the next day they came back to explain that the dog had destroyed their house. And they brought pictures that the SPCA kept next to the crates. And it showed how the dog had destroyed their couch, shredded other furniture, and eaten their dishwasher. And it says, please, when you're not home, crate your puppy. Because the puppy isn't smart enough to behave. It doesn't know how to behave. It's a puppy. It's a baby. You wouldn't leave a fucking 3-year-old home alone. Don't do it with a puppy. Puppy doesn't know any better. Puppy's just being a puppy. It's all fun and games to a puppy. It's not Puppy's fault. So, why a crate? Well, first off, stability for the dog. When it's night time for her, I put her in the crate, which contains her bed and her blanket, and close the door. When I want to keep her out of trouble, like, let's say, for example, whatever reason I needed to keep my room open, because this is not a common situation, but it has happened in the past. It was with the cats, but either way. And I just need to keep her in place so I can crate her. If I'm going to be gone all day, crate her so that she doesn't shit on the carpet. And you're not supposed to do this last part, but I do it anyway. When they're bad, you crate them, because, you know, it puts them in timeout. Now, it's not exactly the best circumstance to do shit in. But considering that a lot of humans have a knee-jerk reaction of one of two things. Okay, I'm gonna hit the dog. Don't hit the dog. Or I'm gonna crate the dog and that'll be punishment. You know, it'll make me feel better. It's the much nicer of the two, trust me. You know, we're gonna build another fucking box. Is it ideal? No, but it's a lot better to crate the dog than whoop the dog. Especially since dogs are a teensy bit retarded. You know, it's a fact. I love them, but they're fucking retarded. So anyway, I got a crate for the dog. And she's actually spent quite a bit of the time in the crate this week, because I've been out of the house. Though I do try to walk her, and the one day where I was gone all day, which I'll get to in a minute, I arranged, because my roommate was going to be home watching sports all day, so I left her out in the living room in her crate with him. And told him, if you get the chance to walk her, please do. Otherwise, she's out here, so she's got people, and you can let her out to play, which he did. And I think he even walked her. So, that explains where all my money went. I actually owed 25 bucks to a friend of mine for last week's HeroClix game, the judge, in this case. And I thought nothing of it, because, you know, I'd looked at my spreadsheet that shows me all my money for the month, and I was in the clear. I had money. Except I didn't. You may recall that up until last month, Anubis was paying me 25 bucks a month for the laptop that I sold him. You know, he was making monthly payments, never missed a month. Good guy. Worst was he was late a week once. So rather than get me before I even got paid, I got paid the following week. Big fucking deal, you know. Nothing to even bitch about. I told him, dude, don't worry about being late. You made the payment. And I had factored in my head that that was a thing that I wasn't going to have. And for some reason, I never took it off the spreadsheet. So I was operating under the assumption, financially, that I had extra money that I in fact did not have. Fortunately, the 25 that my spreadsheet thought I was getting from Anubis was the exact same as the amount that I owed the HeroClix judge. And he's pretty reasonable about this shit. I told him, look, it was a financial fuck-up on my part. I had no business making it, but I did make it. Can I get you back next month? See what I'm gonna have to do, you know? And I've been hardcore, just abso-fucking-lutely working on Sun. Pokemon Sun. It's been a thing. As of, I want to say last night, you two better be playing. Hey! Hey! Stop! No, you're done. Come here. You two better not be fighting, okay? Oreo and Betsy were roughhousing on the bed. And I let it happen because I thought they were playing, but Oreo's making noise, so they might be fighting, and I don't want them to fight. So I'm kind of holding her for a second. You two can play, but play nice, damn it. And remember, she doesn't have claws. That's me. I say that, but from what I saw, Betsy was whooping her ass. But anyway, let's jump ahead to today. HeroClix. Today's HeroClix game was a 300-point theme team. And I decided for shits and giggles, I'm going to play JSA. Because I pulled Hawkman last week, as well as super rare sketch Green Lantern, which I actually pulled sketch Hawkman and traded him for normal Hawkman because I don't like the sketch figs. So had Hawkman, had Green Lantern, already owned Green Arrow, the Atom, and Wildcat. So I basically was supposed to borrow the Spectre, Hourman, and Dr. Fate. Although at the time the judge was like, I don't have Dr. Fate, you'll have to settle for the Flash. I'm like, that's okay, I'll do that. And he actually managed to get a hold of Hourman to loan me, but I had settled on the Flash, so no loss there. And he didn't have, he ended up giving me Hourman and the Flash, and just loaned me Spectre. Now, I'm not overtly impressed with JSA. I actually did well with them. I pulled second place. And the reasons for that involve sort of a comedy of errors, not gonna lie. My first round opponent, P3, was playing a bullshit team because he thought everyone was playing a bullshit team, so he played a super cheesy bullshit team and was really disappointed with himself that he was the only one who did, so he won with a bullshit team that he didn't want. Most of us don't like winning with super cheesy, overpowered bullshit teams. Usually when we play them, it's either to practice for a serious, like, Worlds tournament, or when I get a bug up my ass and decide to break Darkseid. You know, every now and then, I want to play a fucking Goliath team. And I do. In my case, it almost always involves Darkseid, but not always. And the fucked up thing is I almost beat him anyway. Because one of his figures was Wrath, who was one of the 7 deadly sins. And I focused fire on him and took him out. And he was worth like 140 points. And he killed half my team. But here's the funny thing about the JSA. They're worthless point-wise. They're worth no fucking points. The average figure in JSA is between 20 and 40 points. And if he hadn't killed Wildcat, I'd have beat him in points. He had 165 to my 140, and Wildcat himself is 65. So, I almost won. And like we told the judge, I didn't almost win because I had the better team, because I did not. I almost won because my team was garbage, and none of the figures are worth it now. That being said, I was like one good solid hit away, which I didn't get. Last action, missed the shot. If I'd gotten that shot, I'd have won. You know, because I had enough damage to secure the kill. But I didn't. Here's the thing. The JSA played well for me, but for those aspiring HeroClix players, do not play the JSA from Joker's Wild because they're garbage. For their points, they're pretty good, but they have no business costing those points. They really need to be a lot more points and much better dials. Most of them, not all of them. Like, the Thunders, Johnny and Jakeem are good. The Atom is stupidly good for his points. A Wildcat, damn good for his points. And Green Arrow's kind of on the fence. But the reason I did so well with them is because I am that good. And I'm not trying to brag, although it absolutely sounds like I am. But finesse is my thing. I can think my way through just about any kind of strategy. And I am a master at taking very little and doing a lot with it. And the JSA, the way they are in Joker's Wild, is extremely finesse-based. Where if you're good at pulling shit out of your ass, you're gonna do well with them. And I did. But again, it's not a pick-up-and-play team. It is not a fucking cookie-cutter team. It is not something you give to a newbie. Matter of fact, it's kind of cruel to give this to a new player. Because it's just... Just not something you should really do, you know? But, yeah, and we finished up tonight by going to Paisano's, which is sort of a pizza buffet. It's like Cece's, only a little more expensive, a little classier, you know? It's more of a sports bar with a pizza buffet. Less dedicated than Cece's, though. Like, Cece's, there's, like, 10 pizzas out, and they're constantly cycling in new ones, and certain ones are always getting in, whereas... Well, that's new. Whereas this has, like, 4 or 5 pizzas, and there's not a lot of variety with them, but that's okay, you know? Interesting bit of trivia, we discovered today that Snickers ice cream bars are relatively low impact. Interesting. You know what? I don't need any of that shit. Because basically my roommate had explained to the judge that I had come home Sunday night with a 12-pack box of Snickers ice cream bars. He neglected to mention that. And that I had eaten 10 of them in 24 hours. And he's like, oh my god, he's gonna get diabetes. So they're like, what's even in that? And P3, just seeing it as a challenge, just because he likes to fuck with people. Real passive-aggressive about it, but he loves to fuck with people. Pulls out his phone, starts Googling it, and they're disappointed in the low carbs and calories and the sugar in it. And I'm like, I'm not that surprised. You gotta keep in mind, this is not a Snickers bar. A Snickers bar is fucking chocolate and nougat and caramel and shit. This is ice cream with a chocolate shell and a little bit of caramel with peanuts. There's nothing to an ice cream Snickers bar. It's like a fucking pint of ice cream. You know, with some toppings. But Sunday, ooh, Sunday was a thing. Sunday was supposed to be a day that I was going to go down to the gaming store in Largo and play D&D. I have not played D&D in about 5 or 6 months. It's been a long time. And even if it hasn't been 5 months, it sure as hell feels like it. So... my itinerary was thus. I get on my bike and pedal my ass down to Largo. Well, to Pinellas Park. Go to the KFC there and eat the buffet meal for about $8. Money's tight, so I basically called ahead to Mom and said, hey, I know I normally try and ask you for money, and I know you don't have much. Can I get $10 from you, and this will basically cover my chicken lunch? She's like, yeah, okay. So I go there, I'm reimbursed by Mom, so free meal for me, basically. Cost me $8.88, I got $10 back. Good deal all around, right? So, full of chicken and some biscuits, and I start heading to Mom's house, because that was the plan. I was going to go to Mom's, because I left at like 1:30 in the afternoon, the game started at 6. That'll be important later. It's about 2:45, maybe 3 o'clock, so I'm like, okay, I've got plenty of time. I'll go to Mom's, hang out for a little bit, see the new cat, get into that story in a minute, and then I will go up to the game store and hang out with Anubis and play Pokemon, and then D&D, and then I'll go home. Well, there's an overpass on 66th Street, which is where I had to go. I get to the point where once I cross the street, I'll be going under the underpass, and I start feeling something on my leg like I ran over a bag. And I can hear it like every couple seconds it gets louder and then it fades. And anyone who's had a lot of bikes realizes that I just popped a tire. Because it sounds exactly like a paper bag. It hits your leg exactly the way a paper bag caught in your wheel would. And it's happened to me just enough times that I've recognized within a couple seconds what it was. So I call up my friend, I'm like, dude, are you home? He's like, yeah, can I come get my bike fixed? Yeah, so I go up there. Turns out he's got a new grill, so we're gonna be, I'm gonna be going over there Monday, and we're gonna be barbecuing. Which really suits me nicely, because I haven't partaken in a barbecue in quite some time. And I'm actually a fan of them. I like barbecues. But he fixes my bike, and when I say fixes, I mean he fucking fixes it, because the plan had been... Ooh, foraging. Yay, forage. The plan had been that the next time my bike needed work, because he had gotten a new bike, but he kept his old one. The next time my bike needed work, he was going to give me the tires, and possibly the tubes, from his old bike. Well, the thing that was, it wasn't just my tube, my tire was fucked as well. Matter of fact, we're pretty sure the tire just flat out goddamn failed, you know? And that's what went wrong. So, I'm over there for a little bit. He's swapping out the tires, or the tires. And then he had a spare tube that he was going to give me. He's like, you know, how about we keep this front tube? Because there was nothing wrong with the front, it was the back. But he's like, we're going to swap out the tires. How about I keep your front tube for next time? So you got 2 extra tubes. And I give you the 2 slime tubes in my current bike, or in my old bike. I'm like, yes, I would like that quite a bit. In case you're wondering, the reason he didn't keep him, his bike has a really weird valve size. To the point where he had to buy the largest valve they had and still put an adapter on it to fit the damn thing. So his tubes wouldn't work on his new bike anyway. That's why he gave them to me. So, got that. And while he was there, he noticed, hey, your bike doesn't have a kickstand. He's like, you want the kickstand from my old bike? I'm like, I don't think there's a place to mount it. Because there are several kinds of kickstand. There's the kind that mounts the frame, and there's the kind that mounts to the back wheel. And this was a mounts to the frame one. Well, his new bike had a spot on the frame it can mount, and had a mounts to the back wheel one. So I was like, how about I just give you the kickstand from my old bike, or my new bike, and use the one from my old bike for myself. I'm like, it's your kickstand, dude. I will take it, but you don't have to give it, you know? But, yeah, I ended up getting his kickstand. So, for the first time, my bike now has a kickstand. It's got brand new tubes and brand new tires, and it is nice. My bike got a fucking overhaul. And we're actually going to do an extra day. We're going to do 2 extra days this week, because I want to get into summer and get summer started. So yeah, it was a pretty eventful week, and it wasn't even over yet, because then I got more to this story. How many golds do I have in here? I got 1, that's really all I need. So, hang out with him for a little bit. Part of it is just us hanging out, because it's not an intentional thing, but I really can't go over there without us hanging out for a significant portion of time, like a couple hours. In this case, it also took me 40 minutes to walk from the overpass to his house, so I lost a lot of time. And basically, long story short, by the time the bike's ready, it's already about 6 o'clock. So I told Anubis basically, hey, tell him start without me, because it's the first session, they're going to be making characters. And I've made enough characters in D&D that I can go start to finish a brand new character in about 5 minutes. 10 if I do the little itty-bitty shit like, oh, here's your personality kind of thing. But all the important play stats I can have done in 5 minutes or less, start to finish. So I wouldn't even slow anyone down. Well, I end up calling Mom and tell her, hey, I'll be over later. I have to skip coming over right now because it's taking so long to fix the bike. So I'll come around 9 or so. That's when we expect to be out of there. She's like, okay. Keep in mind, I now have a headache because I've been out for a long period of time in the sun and it was fucking hot out because even though it's winter time, Florida's decided that our cold front is over and it's time to get hot again. You know, because Florida does that. It's one of the perks of this state, really. You never know what temperature it's gonna be. So, I just start riding to the game store. I get there, and they're kind of pissed because it turns out the guy is going to be late, and by the time he would get there, the store is going to be closed, so we didn't even game that week. So I'm sitting there, and I'm a little perturbed. I'm not furious, because, again, if nothing else, I got a chicken buffet and an overhaul to my bike that day. So this was not a loss by any means for me. Although not getting to play D&D was a bit of an annoyance. Though, as I would later find out, it was kind of a good thing because I really didn't have the money in the bank to pay the $2 play fee. You know? So, blessing in disguise there. Anyway. I hang out with Anubis, we do a couple Pokemon trades, play a little bit, and then I call Mom and tell her, hey, we're heading over there. He bought a game of some sort, I don't know what it was. I think it was one of like the Call of Duty or Battlefield games for the PS4. And I basically ask him, hey dude, will you ride with me to Walmart? Because I'm getting a splitting headache. I have to get some kind of pills. Specifically the Walmart generic Equate brand headache medicine. Not Tylenol, not ibuprofen, specifically headache relief is what it says in the jar. That's the only thing that's ever worked for me. So I get him to go up there, and I'm looking around for a couple other things, like I'm trying to find Kentucky Legend ham. Long story short, I just get my medicine and a 20-ounce Coke, because I need something to take these pills with. So, go outside, take my pills, and he decides to ride partway to my mom's house with me, basically. Not partway, we part at a turn, basically, because he's got to get home. And I don't blame him, you know. I technically held him up for like an extra half an hour or more just on my stupid errand. So I get over to Mom's, and it's late, so I basically call her to let me in so I don't wake up her roommate / caretaker. And I meet the new cat, who's kind of a bitch. In the sense that it's just not a friendly cat. It's not mean, you know, it doesn't attack me. But it really bitched a lot that I was petting. It's like, you know, it was not happy that I was touching it at all. You know. But very pretty cat. Kind of reminded me of Kisa. It reminded me of Kisa to the point where it was a little painful. Not gonna lie. And visited with Mom for a little bit. Not too long because it's late and the cats and dog haven't ate. And for all I know, the dog hadn't been walked that day. You know. So I really didn't have too much fuck around time. But I stuck around for a little bit. Talked to Mom. Got my $10. We discussed a little bit about Christmas. I'll get into that in a minute. About, like, what I would want for Christmas. And, then I started home. And I'm going up 34th Street, which I pretty much live on 34th Street. I don't mean that my house is there. I mean pretty much everywhere I go to is connected to 34th Street. You know? So most of the time when I'm not home or at a Clicks game, I'm on 34th Street. And keep in mind, when I say, in this case, that I'm on 34th Street, I'm usually around between, 1st and 22nd Avenue on 34th Street. And when I'm at my mother's house, I'm up around 150th. So even when I get to 34th Street, this is still a hell of a fucking chug, you know? And there's a Walmart on 34th Street, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'll go in here, snoop around for a little bit, see if they've got my ham. And I run into my friend, the one who fixed my bikes, current wife. They're getting a divorce. Now, she and I, we have never been close, and we will never be friends. I don't hate her, and I don't think she particularly hates me, but we do not like each other. We're cordial. And we will have little chats together. But we do not willingly spend a lot of time around each other. And to be perfectly honest, this was the first time running into her in the store was the first time we've talked for more than 5 minutes. Since, I believe, the wedding 2 years ago. You know? Because generally she's at work when I come over to visit him. And we chatted for a little bit. I caught her up on stuff with the dog, the Christmas presents, and all that shit. and I mentioned that I was in there basically to look for hams. Like, oh, they might have it in stock. I go back there, sure enough, damn thing's in stock. One of them. And when I say in stock, I've been looking for them. I can only find, like, the half hams. Or the quarter hams, or whatever. You know, the little... basically slices, for lack of a better word. And for the first time in ages, here's a whole goddamn ham for me. And it costs like 24 bucks. It's not a cheap ham. But there it is. So I pick it up, and I may have gotten... oh, I got a little fudge brownie mix. It was $1. And I saw a 12-pack of the ice cream Snickers that I mentioned earlier, and I got those too. The idea being I was going to eat those on the way home or something, and I never did. I didn't eat them until I got home. But cooked my ham the next day, had a little bit of it today. This thing, if rationed correctly, 8 1/4 pounds. If rationed correctly, this thing will last me a little over a week. So then I ride home, and there's a way that the GPS recommends that I hate taking because it's just kind of convoluted and I can never remember the exact path. And I follow it as best as my memory allows with like an occasional glance at the GPS because it's dark. It's like 10:30 at night and I don't want to get lost. And I decided to ad-lib the route. And after a while, I realized I don't know where the fuck I am. I'm lost. Because I realized suddenly I'm on 4th Street. And there's no reason for me to be on 4th Street. I don't live near 4th Street. Well, I do, but I live on 13th Street. Something has gone awry. So I backtrack a little bit to the avenues that I'm supposed to be at. And then I'm going along, and I don't recognize what avenue I'm on. Because I'm on Martin Luther King where I live. Well, near where I live. But I don't recognize where I am. You know? I don't recognize where on Martin Luther King I am. And it's starting to fucking scare me that I don't know where I am. And then I'm pedaling and I realize that the avenue numbers are going up. So I turn myself around, and as I'm pedaling, I start to recognize things because now I'm going in the right direction and things are in the right places, and I'm starting to realize, oh, I do know where I am. But yeah, brief panic attack for Kyrix. Not fun. Not fun at all. It was quite literally panic-inducing. But I'm fine now. And I was exhausted. I don't know how much of it was the headache, how much of it was the panic attack, how much of it was the chicken wearing off, but I was fucking shaky and exhausted, and just had my hand firmly on the fucking button. You know, I was just done. But later that night, I finally, after several trades and a couple evolutions, finished the Alolan Pokédex. All 301 current releases. Because they released Magearna that same day. And, big accomplishment. I showed it to even some of my more apathetic friends, like P3. It's like, oh, right on, dude. Good for you. You know, that is not an easy thing to pull off, and I did it. Rather pleased with myself. Right, this is my money-making season right here, or at least the first one. And that, by the way, is why I haven't gotten shit done, because I've been focused on the Pokédex. And now that I've got that done, I can actually focus on my, let's say, recreational training and breeding. Like, I decided to seriously chain my very first Pokemon, and I decided that Pokemon's going to be Fomantis. Because I really like Lurantis, and mine has really shitty stats, because basically I have one with a nature that has a low attack, like 10% less attack, you know, the primary stat of Lurantis. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I'm going to be chaining these things. There's a chance the hidden ability will come up. What's the hidden ability? Main ability is Leaf Guard. Basically, it prevents status things if it's sunny out or something like that. Situational at best, you know, because I don't run sun teams, really. Hidden ability, Contrary. Any stat drops will instead result in stat gains, and any stat gains will become stat drops. That could be interesting, but what does it have any moves? You know, like, does it have any moves that drop stats? No, not really. But you know what? It's better than Leaf Guard that I can still use it. And the enemy could potentially hit me with, like, oh, I'm gonna Screech and lower your defense 2 stages. Oh shit, it just went up 2 stages, that kind of thing. Although if I get swaggered, I'll be fucked, because then my stat will drop 2 stages and I'll be confused. So I get a contrary one after a while. And I feel rather clever for how I did this. I'm looking at Lurantis' stats in general, or its moves, rather. And Lurantis learns a move. The idea was I was going to basically growl at him or something. It learns Sweet Scent, which lowers evasion. So I figure I'll just have this thing chain SOS, SOS being a new feature in Sun and Moon. I'll have this thing chain SOS's until it, Come on, Kyrix. Cogitate. Until one of them has an evase increase, you know? And that didn't happen. What did happen is Fomantis, oh, an anchor, learns a stat called Growth, which spikes its attacks. Well, one of them used Growth, and I noticed that its stats dropped. I'm like, oh, there it is. So I caught it in relatively short order and started breeding it. About 75% of the offspring had that, the other 25 had Leaf Guard. So I basically got a contrary female to breed with my contrary male to spike the chances that I get the right nature. And I'm waiting to get an adamant one, and then I'll put an Everstone on it, and I'll breed the shit out of them. The goal being, since I have the shiny charm, to try and get a shiny. So we're going to see how that works out for me. That actually went rather well. Now, can I get the real good quality shit? No. No. Oh, you don't have the real good quality shit. Well then, fuck you with a rake! I'm gonna use my own shit. So, yeah. Working on Lurantis. Christmas present. Christmas present. Was talking to Mom. She's asked me like 2 or 3 times this month, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, the only thing I can really think of is a video game that costs like $40, you know? And she's like, well, I don't really have that much. I'm like, I know. So, the other night, I think it was last night actually, I am, you know, riding to Wawa to get a lemonade, which I wasn't able to get. They were out of lemonade in one of the machines. The other machine was down for maintenance or some shit. So I ended up getting a Coca-Cola, which I don't mind, but it doesn't really work very well. Because Coke gets jostled and it doesn't really keep till morning, that kind of thing, you know? Big pain in the ass. And, while I'm riding, my MP3 player fucks up, because sometimes it'll do this thing where it will not recognize the formats of songs it's played 100 times and tell me, oh, I can't play this music. And then I have to wait for it to basically reboot itself, because I haven't figured out how to make it do that. And then I can listen to music. Well, this time, out of frustration, I smacked it around a little bit, and I bit it. Because that's what I do, I bite things. I bite a lot of things. Don't know why, I just kind of do. And apparently I bit it hard enough to break it. So, I basically fuck with it, can't get it to work at all. Sadness ensues, that kind of shit. Talk to Mom, I'm like, okay, I finally figured out what I need. Like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? I want a new MP3 player, because I bit mine and it doesn't work anymore. Which led to the fun conversation of, I didn't realize I was biting it that hard. Well, why are you biting it all? Because I bite things, you know. One of those conversations. The kind of conversations that normal people never have. So I tell her, hey, I want a specific kind of MP3 player, not like an iPad or iPod or some stupid shit like that. Basically, a brand compatible with Audible, because I have a bunch of audiobooks from Audible that are not compatible with either my phone or my MP3 player, because I looked at both. Because Audible doesn't fucking like Sony. And she's like, oh, I can do that. How much is it? I'm like, well, the cheapest one I found is $30, but I could probably find a cheaper one. It's like, well, $30's fine. And I just, because sometimes my appliances fix themselves, I plugged it in to charge it. Came back a couple hours ago. It lit up, so it actually isn't broken, but I'm basically going to tell her it's not broken. So if you want, I can switch to a different Christmas present. But I'd still like the MP3 player, so that I can have a dedicated MP3 player that will play my fucking audiobooks, you know? Because right now, I don't have a portable way to carry them, so I can only listen to my audiobooks when I'm not recording, when I'm sitting with my laptop, and a bunch of other specific situations that don't normally arise, and are terribly inconvenient. And I wouldn't mind if I have a long bike ride to, say, Largo to hang out with my friend for a fucking barbecue or to play Minecraft, if I had the opportunity to listen to The Force Awakens, or Lost Stars, or Tarkin, or any of my other audiobooks. And if not, I'll find something else, but that's basically what I'm looking at. I think that pretty much does it for my week. I'm going to, within the next day or two, marathon the ever-loving shit out of Harvest Moon so I can get it done. Because there isn't much left to do. I've basically done my last harvest of the playthrough. There will be no more planting, no more cropping, no more watering, none of that bullshit. So it's going to be basically a speed run at this point. Which saves time. Saves lots of time. It's just I haven't got it in me to do it. A sizable portion of my money this month went towards Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. I got the DLC now. Which, it really pisses me off that the DLC is still as expensive as it is. I basically, if I had gotten all of it, which includes several costumes, which I talked myself out of despite actually wanting for one, because they're not important for the playthrough. If I had tried to get all of it, I would have been looking at about $50. As it is, I paid $30 for 3 fucking DLC mission packs. But I honestly think they'll add a lot to my playthrough, which will be coming soon. Or at least be recorded soon. I'm basically planning to marathon the thing over the course of 3 days. I'm going to try and 100% the holocrons in the main story. Probably not the DLC, but I don't know, because they do have them. They're just utterly worthless in the DLC because they don't do anything. It's like, oh, this will help you level up. Doesn't matter, I already have max everything, you know? I have all the crystals, all the costumes, all of this, all of that. They mean nothing, you know? It's like picking up Canadian currency in a country that doesn't take it. Not that I'm dissing Canadian currency, it's literally the first thing that popped to head. But, that's a thing that's coming soon. Gonna finish up Final Fantasy VI soon. Whole bunch of shit coming down. Gonna try and get it done. Anyway, y'all got some extra chores out this time around. Just because I wanted to start the summertime. Haley's been gifted. Oh, shit! I didn't realize. Wow! Haley's almost done. Did not see that coming. Anyway. Whew. What a productive day this has been. Do I finally get some rain? Please? I do not. Alright, everyone. Thank you for joining me this time for This Week in Kyrix, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody!